Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Skåne here in Skåne in southern Sweden. We're going to revisit one of my local breweries here, so we're doing another beer from Brekeriet, and this is one of their regular beers that they now have in Brekeriet. So this one is the sour and salt, and it's a gose beer at 4.6%, so it should be quite a nice one. It was quite highly rated on Untappd and Rate Beer when I checked it out earlier. I think it was an 89 overall, and within the style it had on Rate Beer. I can't quite remember the Untappd rating, but I've heard good things about this beer, and we know that Brekeriet do some pretty damn good stuff, so it's always cool to return to them every so often. So yeah, but anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other Brekeriet reviews I've done before. No doubt there will be more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography tagging system, so you can search for beer based on country, city, state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one for all the Swedish beers that I'm reviewing for you, and that's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries you guys would like to see me review, especially if you're watching from around Sweden, because I know there's a lot of breweries that I simply haven't heard of yet. So yeah, a little bit about Brekeriet then. So as I mentioned to you before, Brekeriet were originally based in Gävle, just outside of Malmö, and the company was founded back in 2011 by the Ek brothers. So this is Fredrik, Christian and Andre, and they're a specialist brewery in wild beers using Brettanomyces. They were actually the first brewery in Sweden to do this, and as far as I know, they do remain the only brewery in Sweden that are completely specialised in this. You do have Örebro Brewhus as well, who are experimenting a little bit, and Temple Brewhus as well from Uppsala. But as far as I know, Brekeriet are the only ones who brew exclusively sour beers. So the original brewery is based in the old brewhouse in Gävle, which was actually a share brewery for local farmers, probably something similar to what the Germans had for their Kommunbrauereis. But they brewed their first beers in 2012 at this brewery, and they had quite a modest production of only 500 litres per brew, which gave them a yearly capacity of 38,000 litres. But as of 2015, they have a new brewery in Landskrona, which can produce 20 hectolitres of beer per brew, and they also have a fermentation capacity of 80 hectolitres. Of course, with a sour brewery, you do need a little bit longer fermentation times and bigger storage facilities, of course. But apparently they produce some of their wild beer bunch beers continuously in Landskrona, and they brew their sour patch and small batch things still in Gävle. But in 2014 the brewery actually caused a little bit of a stir because they withdrew from the nationalised beer shops that we have here in Sweden, the Systembolaget, basically citing bureaucracy and stuff like this is causing them big problems, and they focused their beers on going abroad. So they actually exported all of the beers that they were producing, but they did make a return to Systembolaget thankfully in 2016. So it really is great to see them back, and they are putting out beers every so often into Systembolaget, which is quite cool. We're getting some things through the small partiers, and they are releasing a few things every so often into the regular range as well. So it is cool to see that we can get our local beers here once again in Skåne. So yeah, that's all you need to know about the brewery just now. They're always producing different things. They've got a few regular beers, but mainly they like to try different things and just experiment, which is what you always want to see from a craft brewery. It says on the side here, this one is one of the Sour Patch beers. Brekeriet Sour and Salt is part of our collection of beers known as Sour Patch, fermented with different wild yeast strains and lactic acid bacteria cultures. This one says Sour and Salt, a gose style beer brewed with salt and coriander. The fermentation with lactobacillus adds a crisp and refreshing taste to the beer. Bottled and brewed by the three Ek brothers, Brekeriet Beer AB. So yeah, nicely presented this one. Typical Brekeriet style artwork, of course, on there. And there you can see, there's the little blurb and stuff. This beer, if I'm remembering rightly, that's actually the European organic symbol as well. So this one may well be an organic beer. So you can see there's the Brekeriet bottle cap, the standard big B that you get from them. So without further ado then, I guess we'll get this guy out and get on with the tasting then. This one is best before the 6th of October 2021, so it's got a shelf life of about 4 years on it actually, which is quite impressive actually for a low ABV beer. So yeah, nice smoky opening on this one. Smells really nice actually when you open it up. The gose style of beer, of course, originated in Germany, and I can't remember too much else about it. I just know that it originated in Germany, and it was mainly a kind of wheaty malt base that they used to use on these things with lactobacillus, which is quite cool. And this is a style. A lot of these sour beer styles are getting very popular with craft brewers these days because you can experiment with them and put lots of different stuff in them. It's the same with Berliner Weisses actually. So it is always cool to see people experimenting with these kind of sour beers. So as you can see, this beer is poured a really kind of golden, yeah, it's basically a golden yellow colour, this one, a lemon orange yellow or something like that, but it looks very, very nice. There's a solid finger of a frothy, kind of bubbly white head on this one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there. But overall it looks quite nice. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see that this beer is actually quite opaque. So yeah, we'll take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Oh yeah. First thing you're going to notice about this one right away is that sharp kind of tart lactobacillus. That's exactly what you expect from the beer. But underneath that you can pick up a really nice sort of wheaty character. There's a little bit of almost spicy character coming out of this one as well, which I'm assuming will be the coriander. I'm not getting too much of that kind of distinctive coriander note though, I have to admit. It does smell a little bit more spicy. But a little bit of wheaty character in there, definitely. Nice lighter, some kind of lighter bready notes as well. You can pick up a little bit of grassy and kind of floral character from the hops. I would assume that they've used German hops in this one maybe, or maybe even some local hops. But yeah, it's a really interesting smell, this one. Really, it definitely leans towards the kind of sharp, citricy lemon side of things. There's a lot of lemony character coming out of this one, mainly from those kind of lactobacillus notes, but some wheaty character, a little bit of bready note. You can smell a little bit of the coriander. To me it comes across more of there's a little bit of an almost peppery spice to it, to be honest with you. The salt, you can pick up a little bit of that, but again it's quite subtle. To me it's really the sour character, that lactobacillus and the lemon tartness that's coming out of this beer with a bit of the grassy hop as well. But it smells really nice. As I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of your beer before you actually try it. It's always half the experience with craft beer and sake and whiskey and all of these sorts of things. But a really nice smelling beer, and as I say, I need to review more goses and sour beers for you on the channel because they're producing some really good stuff actually. So yeah, let's get stuck into this one then. So this one is the Sour and Salt from Brekeriet in Landskrona here in Skåne in southern Sweden. Let's get stuck into this beer. Skål! That's really pretty good. I mean, initially, as I've told you on the channel before, I was never really into sour beers all that until fairly recently actually. I think it was maybe Brekeriet were one of the ones who kind of convinced me that I should get into this style a little bit more. And it is, the sour beers are a little bit of an acquired taste. You sort of have to try a few of them and just get used to kind of what you would expect. But they've done a nice job with this, and I mean, this is the thing, they do consistently produce interesting sour beers up there. But this one, this is definitely a nice summer beer. I just like how this comes across, and I guess the sour beer is probably something that's very difficult to kind of to get right actually. It probably takes a lot of refinement to actually get just the right level of sourness and balance that with everything else that's going on in the beer. But this one's really good. You know, straight away a thumbs up to Brekeriet for this one, but we'll have a little look at it more and see what flavours we're getting out of it. Yeah, so as you would expect, you know, there's a sort of wheaty and bready malt base to this one, just kind of underpinning the whole beer. You can pick up some of the saltiness in the beer as well. I'm getting more and more of that as you progress into the aftertaste. There's a little bit of sweet character in there. It's not quite, it's not so spicy, this beer. There is a little bit of that coriander sitting there in the middle of the tongue, and it's almost just a little bit sweet. It's a sort of sweet, wheaty coriander flavour that's coming out of this one. It's really interesting. The hops are what you'd expect. It's kind of floral and grassy. There's not really much in the back corner of your palate, but as you come further forward you can feel that kind of grassy and almost in that just a little bit of bitter floral character in there. It's very grassy as you go around the front curve of your tongue, but when this beer comes in you'll feel it right away. It comes in with a really strong citric and ever so slightly sharp sourness there. You just feel that behind the very front curve of your tongue. It almost just makes this big kind of oily bubble. It's just right around the edge of your tongue. You'll just feel this almost kind of horseshoe thing going on there, which is quite interesting. But that's a really good beer. You know, I have to admit, when I first got into the sours, I never thought I'd find one that I could potentially session. This one I would say I probably could. To me, the sour beers always came across as you know, it's like an imperial stout. You have one to kind of enjoy the taste of it and just do all of these things. It's not something you'd go out and have a few of course. And I was always the same with sour beers. I always thought, you know, I do like them, and I like to try different ones, but I haven't really found one that I could potentially session. This one really is one that I could, which is quite interesting. But it's just so well done. I might even go as far with this beer as saying it's potentially my favourite one that I've tried from them so far. Of course, I said the same thing about the Swedish Ninja that I had from them last time, but I do think I actually like this one better. I have to say that. I think this one for me is a slightly better beer. As I always say though, beer is subjective. You might like different things from me, but for me, I guess it's the novelty of this one that I could session a few of these quite easily. It's just really, really well done. There's a lot of that citricy lemon character in there. Like I said, you'll feel it just behind the front curve of your tongue. You can feel a little bit of that oily bubble. I think there's a little bit of citricy lemon coming from the hops as well. There's a sort of lemongrassy thing around the very front edge of your tongue too. But the main point to take away is that this is a damn good beer, and like I said, I would potentially go as far as saying that this is my favourite one that I've tried from Brekeriet so far, and maybe that's because of the novelty that I reckon I could drink a few of these. The Swedish Ninja that I said the same about before is still a really good beer, but I think I just like this one a little bit better. But yeah, if you get the chance to try this beer, go for it. That's definitely one of the best ones I've had from Brekeriet so far. So yeah, in terms of the rating it has on Rate Beer and Untappd, I would say it deserves that, you know, quite easily. It deserves that. Potentially I would say even the Rate Beer one should be a little bit higher than that. I mean, I wouldn't see any reason why this beer wouldn't be into the 90s right enough. I would maybe need to try one of the beers that's listed as the best sour beer in the world before I could say that, but I would say this beer should probably be rated a little bit higher than it has. It definitely deserves what it has though, nonetheless. But in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I would say this guy is probably around mid-bodied. To me it feels a little bit heavier than some of the other ones that I've had from Brekeriet before. Maybe I'm just getting more used to the style, because I always find the sour beers do come across a little bit lighter in the mouthfeel. It's not quite as carbonated as some of the other ones. It's got more of a slightly oily mouthfeel to it. There's a little bit of hoppy bitterness. There's some sweet malts in there as well, and there's a good bit of a sharp kind of tart, citricy fruit character. Overall, like I say though, it's a really, really nice beer, and I'd go as far as saying that this is potentially the best one that I've had from Brekeriet so far. I really enjoyed the Swedish Ninja that I had last time, their collaboration with Pipeworks, but I'd say this one for me just shades that a little bit. But you know, this is Brekeriet, we know they produce some really good beers, and it is cool to see that they're always experimenting. So I do recommend you check out this beer if you get the chance, and as I always say, it is cool to return to Brekeriet every so often for something different. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below, and let me know what your favourite beers are from Brekeriet as well. They have just released another one, and you will see another Brekeriet review maybe in a week or so's time, because I really want to try that since this one has been so good. But until the next time, Slangy just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you try some of these Brekeriet beers, really highly recommended. This is potentially their best one so far. So Slangy just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Cheers.